I want to give my kids the world, and I bet that you do too. So, how do we navigate conversations with our children when we have to tell them no, either because we're facing economic hardship or because we have figured out that we have put ourselves in a bad money spot and we want to start cleaning that up? When it comes to these type of conversations, we're really talking to them about sacrificing. And it's really easy, I think, sometimes to sacrifice for ourselves, but can be terribly hard when we have to ask other people to sacrifice for us. I want to share with you 3 stories today of how I have navigated conversations in this vein with my own kids. Let me start by explaining a little bit about the community that we live in. We have seen quite a lot of wealth in the area where we live. And so knowing that, and knowing that we distinctly moved here so that I could quit my corporate job and so that we could reduce our income by over 50% and take a significant pay cut, but try to maintain a comparable lifestyle to those around us, it's turned out that that's more of a challenge than I thought it would be. Okay, so here's the first story that I'll share with you. I'll be honest, this is where maybe I thought I was better than some other people, which is terrible to have to admit publicly, but I really thought I would be one of the more well-traveled people in the area where we live. And it turns out that is not the case at all. The town that we happen to live in is filled to the brim with world travelers. It has been a challenge since we have experienced such a significant reduction in income when my children are like, hey, the people down the street went to Paris last fall. I want to go to Paris. Or, hey, 3 of my friends are taking Disney cruises this year. I want to take a Disney cruise. My husband and I had to have a conversation about what kind of adventures do we want to have and, where does that fit into the bigger scope of what we want in life? Particularly my daughter. She was the one who was the most vocal. She's the older of the 2 children and she's seeing these people, classmates go on these really big trips and she really wants to get in on the action. And that actually is what spurred our trip to Ireland, which I have a video on and I will link it for you guys. That being said, we had to let her know that the cost of the trip for us to go on this fantastic European adventure was less than the cost it took for us to pay for 1 year of travel cheer. We are really clear with our children that you can have it all, but you can't have it all at once. We let our children contribute to that conversation and to that decision, and we simply let them know that we can't have it all at the same time. Let's make a choice. We can say no to this right now, but then that doesn't mean that it's a no forever. We can come back to it. We can come back to travel sports. My daughter was willing to only do school cheerleading and forego a year of travel cheerleading so that we could have that vacation as a family. And I'm so glad that she made that decision. We didn't say outright no, we let her contribute to it. Now, before you think that I'm telling you that they can only have choices, there are some scenarios where I would say, hey, just a hard and fast no is in order. And so the last story I'm gonna share is an example of that. Story number 2 is one that I think we'll all be able to relate to, and that is a keeping up with the Joneses type of story. Driving brand new Teslas and driving brand new Porsches, and I've seen, no joke, I've seen a Bugatti and I've seen a Ferrari in our community. So again, there is just a lot of money around here. That being said, my kids are going to school with kids that have all the newest things every year. We had to have a conversation. Just like we have to make decisions on the big things in life, we also have to make decisions on the little things in life. And so the conversation becomes more around buy less, buy better. Many of her wish list items are a lot of smaller knick-knacky things. It's about going to Sephora and having a haul. And in this conversation with my daughter, I had a lot of, reasoning with her, again, buy fewer things and buy better things. So that being said, we looked at options for making that wish list and deciding, okay, you want the Tasman Uggs and you want the Birkenstocks and you want the Boston clogs. The question becomes, if you can only choose one of them, which one will you want? Which one is more important to you? Which will be a better purchase for the way that you dress, for the way that you want to look, for the way that the weather, the seasons that we're in? We have conversations about buying fewer things that'll be more applicable for a longer period of time. Again, you can have it all, but you can't have it all at once. So these things work together, they stack together. Okay, and then story number 3. My nephew recently got his driver's permit, and conversations about getting a driver's permit and practicing driving are starting to come up in our household. Even though my daughter is not even 13 yet, she's about to turn 13, She's already talking about what her future car will be. And I will tell you that in the community that we live in, there are some children that are just gifted a brand new Beamer when they turn 16 and they get their driver's license. In the last two examples, I really talked to you about helping them make big choices and then helping them make smaller choices. In this example, we're talking about a hard and fast no. My daughter wants a brand new Jeep Wrangler, and it's just a hard no. It's just like, it's never gonna happen. I'm never gonna buy you a brand new car. Even if I had the money to do it, which we don't have that kind of cash, but even if I did, I wouldn't do it anyway for the principle of the matter. I believe, personally, that all kids are kind of knuckleheads when they first learn how to drive, and they deserve a beater of a car. And honestly, I think it should be a small car too, because I don't want them loading up with a bunch of kids in the back seat getting distracted while they drive. I believe that children have to work hard and get skin in the game for their first nice car. I don't think that parents should just hand it over. It's just not something that we're going to do. And I don't mean to argue this with anybody else. If you feel like giving your child a brand new car is the best answer because it's reliable and you feel the most secure in that and that's what you want for your child, or maybe you got a new car when you turned 16 and it's a family tradition, then by all means, this is not to pass judgment on anyone else. My first car was a beater. I had to share it with my sister and we really beat the hell out of it. So thank God it was a beater because it was, we did not, no, we were not careful with that vehicle at all. I don't suspect that my children will be much different than me. Therefore, I just have no desire to get my child a brand new vehicle, let alone an expensive one like a Jeep Wrangler. This is an example of a hard and fast no, but it's paired with the values that are the most important to us, and why we're saying no is made clear to our kids so that it's not just a because I said so. Because when it comes to money decisions, we really do have to equip our children to understand why you might hold out for something more later, and why you might choose to say no to something that it seems like everybody else around you is doing. This is where the culture of your own household is so important. And I tell my clients all the time, it's important to have principles for your home, whether those are financial principles or just life principles. And that you also develop a culture in your home because your home is a team. You're working together and you're trying to express out into the world what is meaningful to you. I have done videos in the past that talk about every dollar is a vote. So what you are buying, you are voting for to keep around in the world. The ways that you spend money are a way of reinforcing the values that you have out into the world. And I want my children to understand that really deeply. If you are having any troubles understanding your values and what it is that you want for your family, and maybe you're struggling with telling your kids no to these bigger ticket items or to any items for that matter, I would recommend to you that you check out my Big Picture Workbook. It is a freebie that you can get. The link is in the description box below. I'm going to share with you guys one last story. Let's call it a bonus story. And this is that my husband recently lost his job. I've talked about it in another video. I will link that for you. We had to have a conversation with our kids like, hey, we're fine financially. Like, there is positively no reason for you to stress out, but we want you to know that Dad's probably not going to immediately go out and look for another job. He feels like he's got a calling on his life and he wants to try to walk that out first. And so we've been in a lot of prayer about this, and we're really figuring out and trying to navigate just as two adults, working as a team to build the life that we want. How is it that he can do this and we can still be financially secure and financially sound to the best of our ability? When our kids found out about my husband's dream and the goal that he really has, his sort of secret ambition in his business, they both of them, and I kid you not, offered to give up their birthdays. And this is again an example of where I believe that sacrifice is the heart of love, and that even your children will want to sacrifice for you. And in none of these conversations have we experienced fear. In none of these examples of saying no or telling the kids that Dad lost his job, in none of it has there been any fear, which just goes to show how much security our kids have in us, and then how much our security comes from our own faith. I just think it's a beautiful thing. I think that if you have very forthright conversations with your kids and you can hold that from a place of like, we're aiming for a bigger aim. We've got more important things. We have strong values. We have a beautiful future that we're working toward, and we want you to work with us. I think children will lean into that, and I think that they will love it and they will feel like they're contributing, and it will just bring your family closer overall. Give your kids the opportunity to participate in that level. I think they will surprise you. All right, guys, that is it for today. I love you all. I hope you're having a fantastic season of life, and I thank you for joining me. Please also like and subscribe. I could really use the support. I would love to see this channel grow.